There we go. Good afternoon and welcome back to another edition of Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Idlits. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Greg Polius, and unfortunately, no Declan Krogman. He is on his way to becoming an RA, if you guys are wondering. But to fill his seat, we do have Macaroni P, a.k.a. our boy Paul. Paul, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How's it going, guys? Always happy to get the call, man, and excited to talk some fun stuff today.
Yes,
multi-sport. Look at that.
So, Steph, how you doing? I just want to say, Deck, I hope you're listening, because if you get, the RA position, we hope that it leads to better backgrounds.
Hey, I don't actually mind his little cavern he has going on with the bed sheet. Like, it's better than what he had before. All right, like he's improving the situation. The man's out working out of a dorm right now. Like,
I gotta tell you, it's a very crafty look, right?
Yeah. It is crafty. It is crafty.
The blanket doesn't look comfortable, right? But but the shit's crafty.
It's better than seeing stacks of ramen noodles in the background. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But yeah, Greg, how you doing, man? You good? I like the hat.
Thank you. I figure it's so cold out here. Let me give myself some Cancun vibes. Feel like I'm in a warm place. It's been a hectic
don't
week.
Get Paul started. Don't get Paul started. Look good.
Work's been hectic. Work's been hectic. Life as a parent, as Paul could tell you, can turn on a moment's notice.
Oh, of course. I mean, I don't think I've ever signed into a sports hit list function late. But you try sitting behind the school bus in the state of Florida when 9,000 kids get off at the community here, right? You try it.
Yeah, it's the most rewarding thing. But when you're having a baby, people don't tell you about all the trials and tribulations you're gonna deal with. So, Steph, as your older brother, as the person who has been through this, let me tell you now, parenting is hard work, bro.
Oh,
I appreciate the knowledge, bro. I won't hold you. When I get to that moment, I'm gonna look back and be like, thankfully he told me. I was ready.
Listen, because mom and pops, I love y'all, but y'all didn't tell me everything. So there's some things that be happening. I'm just like,
wow.
I didn't know
this call outs. I didn't know
this is a thing.
Friday afternoon we're doing call outs. Cool.
We always got the smoke.
Well, Steph, the only bar I'll add for you is, since I am still the bar spitter, but today I'm Macaroni P, is when you do have kids, have them while you're still there so you can take advantage of all those resources, including someone as young as KJ is a resource by the time you have children. All right.
Nah, he's not wrong.
That's true. That's true.
Mom, pops, I love y'all. Y'all are great resources.
Take advantage of those resources.
Yeah, break them off with a little $5 bill. Here you go, KJ.
I fly him out to use the resource.
Ooh, well, that's for all y'all too. Y'all can take them nuggets home and use that when y'all have your kids. Well, let's get into it, because I want to start with this Thursday night game because it was a game. It did happen. We did witness the Cowboys play the Saints. Now, final score 27-17. It wasn't all that, 2 scores the Cowboys won by, but this wasn't a sexy game. All right, ball wasn't really aired out. Dak finished with 238 yards on 40 attempts. You had Taysom out there slinging the ball, 264 yards of 41 attempts, 4 picks, not surprising. 4 picks is what you expect. Also 101 yards on the ground, also expected from Taysom. But on the other side of the ball, we did see something a little bit peculiar, right? So Pollard, considered to be
who? Say his name. Say his name again.
Is it Pollard? Pollard.
Yo, you
it's P-O-L. Pollard. Polius. Pollard. He says his name wrong. That's not on me. All right, bro. Talk to homeboy.
He said Pollard. He named him Pollard.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least once a show, you get somebody's name wrong.
No. I got it right. He's saying it wrong. He's telling y'all wrong.
How you telling the man he's saying his name wrong?
It happens sometimes. You have players that tell the media the names incorrectly just so it's easier. I'm just saying. All right, but either way, Pollard had 7 carries for 71 yards, averaging 10.1 yards a carry. And Zeke, the former bell cow, had 13 carries for 45 yards. This is not something you would expect from these Cowboys. And you're seeing a Dak Prescott that has not really performed the way that we expect Dak to perform as a whole since that bye week and coming off that injury. Now, Paul, I'm going to start with you. Should Cowboy fans be worried about this offense? Yes, they did win, but this wasn't necessarily the type of win you expect from this Cowboys team and the expectations they had coming into this season.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, when you light those new fancy candles at the bar when they're giving you a bottle and it's sparkling out there, and then at some point it begins to fizzle away. The challenge with Dallas, man, in full disclosure, Pollard didn't have a great game either. He just happened to break a good run, right? 58 yards. I think aside from that, you're talking 22 carries at a yard per carry, right, for the Dallas Cowboys. 3 consecutive weeks where they've been less than 3 yards a carry. So offensively, their real challenge is their offensive line, and what used to be, we've come to believe that they're always a great O-line. They can't win in the trenches, right? Chris Jones exposed that in the Chiefs game, got dominated, like literally. My concern for Dallas is now they've turned back into that aired out attack. I mean, you even see it. You line up on first and goal from the 1, and you're throwing fade routes out of the shotgun, right? I don't know, man. I'm worried about Dallas. That's all I can say. I mean, Zeke is not 100%. I think we can see that. He's not even looking for contact. It was a couple plays where he ran out of bounds, 8 yards down the field. That's not the Zeke we know. The Zeke we know is a bruiser. He's going to put his shoulder down. He's going to get that extra 2 and make you pay for it. But they can't block. I mean, how many? I think I counted 7 plays yesterday where the running backs was touched in the backfield. I expect that from the Giants. I don't expect that from the Cowboys, right? Like, that's just not one of the things I expect to see. And Dak also hasn't looked good since that injury either, right? Like, he's missed quite a bit of throws. He's made some really great ones, right? He's fit some balls into pockets that I didn't think was possible. He literally dropped some dimes, but in the same token, he missed a lot of easy ones. He missed bunnies, right? Like, I mean, the Raiders game, we go back 2 weeks ago, he's the reason they lost that game, right? The easy, simple rollout on the right-hand side on 3rd and 5 to Noah Brown, and you miss him down and low like you were Kurt Schilling. Like, some things you just got to slow down and execute. And so I am concerned with Dallas, but defensively, they did what they're supposed to do. Defense carried that game. Taysom Hill was a joke, right? So he
was, or currently still is.
Listen, I'm not going to say
the man got paid.
I hope he succeeds, right?
That is a very successful joke we see there as far as
but you just got to ask yourself, how do you give him? We'll go back to accountability. $100 million. I didn't see it. I mean, I felt like I seen a rookie playing quarterback yesterday, right? The inability to throw receivers open, right? Telegraph throws, reminded me of high school quarterbacking, right? Split right, all curls, throw it to the tight end, right? Like, in Dallas dropped about 5 interceptions. Like, he should have had a lot more picks than he had. So Dallas, I'm worried about.
Greg, what about you? You on the same page?
Yes. And before I even give my critique of this game, I have to shout out, one of our faithful listeners and fans, Jared Carter. He gets a lot of flack on this show because of his Matthew Stafford take. A lot of flack, deservedly so. But a year ago, he shouted me down that Taysom Hill was absolute garbage. And I pushed back. I said, give him a shot. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I said, nah, give him a shot. Maybe there's something there. Let's see him. We saw him last night, and I want to apologize to Jared Carter, which doesn't happen.
Wow. Yeah.
And say, he was absolutely right. Taysom Hill is hot garbage, right? From the first throw of the game that should have been picked off.
Agreed.
Right? That was a terrible throw. He got lucky on that play. He looked like Tim Tebow 2.0. There was nothing I saw from him that made me say, you know what, this guy is going to be the franchise quarterback. They should have taken that money that he stole, because I'm going to say, like my college coach used to tell us, you guys are stealing money, right? He stole that money from New Orleans because he must know something about Sean Payton that we don't.
I was about to ask that. I don't think it's that he stole it. Like, we have to ask why Sean Payton thinks he's worth that. Like, what is going on with Sean Payton?
And Jameis needed to get that back. If there was a story that came out that Jameis slapped Sean Payton with all the crab legs in NOLA, I would not be mad at it, because that's what needs to happen. For thinking, first of all, even though Trevor Siemian is not a starting quarterback in this league, he's a backup.
He's functional.
Exactly. He's functional.
He could be a game manager.
They played competitive football. Last night was not a competitive game. That was an ugly football game. Halfway through the second quarter, I was like, why am I watching this? I went and watched Tiger King with my wife, and I was just following, closely along. It just wasn't worth it. And a lot of that reason was because of Taysom Hill under center. Taysom Hill was so bad that the Saints couldn't even have a running game outside of Taysom Hill. They did not even. Mark Ingram was non-existent. Shout out to Travis for picking up the Mark Ingram scraps and him doing nothing for him, because I need Travis to lose this week. Ingram only got him 3.6 points. So
It's coming down to the wire in fantasy playoffs. Was it 2 weeks?
It is.
This week and
All
next
I'm gonna
week.
say is, if I'm Alvin Kamara, I'm a little pissed off. A few months ago, Alvin Kamara inked 5 years, $75 million. By all means, get paid, brother.
Yeah.
But Taysom Hill is worth $90 million for on the heads of the New Orleans Saints. And if you mean to tell me what I seen from Taysom Hill is what we're supposed to look forward to next season, that means Alvin Kamara will be hurt by the time week 6 rolls around because the usage rate is going to be insanity. And that's all I'm saying. It was bad. It was a bad watch. And the Cowboys should be ashamed of themselves.
They should.
That was even a worse watch.
I mean, this is a Saints D that just got torn up by the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that we thought that on Thanksgiving Day that the Bills were going to struggle, but they've managed to beat down on the Saints.
Beat the hell out of them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And here it is. Dallas comes in, should have a chance to do something similar, and falls very far short. I do. And
we gotta add. Oh, go ahead.
No. Do you think?
I didn't know if I was usurping you, but Zeke, what's going on?
I think Zeke's hurt, man. I mean, you got to realize after the Sunday game, they were saying Zeke was going to miss time. No, after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He wasn't even supposed to play this Thursday. All of a sudden, he's a full participant on Tuesday. I'm getting all excited, like, oh, shit, I'm starting both of those guys. He ain't 100%. No burst, no step. Apparently, it's a knee injury. I don't think it's structural. It's just he's been dealing with that bruise since the Chiefs game. He got hurt in the first quarter of that game.
Chiefs dogged out the offensive line. That's what happened.
And they may be the first team we've seen in recent memory play back-to-back on Thursdays, Thanksgiving and then a Thursday night game. I don't think I've seen that before.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it is a very good point. I did want to mention this because it was in the sports hit list on the page. It was a comparison of Mark Sanchez and Dak Prescott, and it's that Mark Sanchez has 4 playoff wins. Dak only has 1.
I mean, let me add some context to this, because on his face, that's a funny meme. On his face, it's funny.
It's a funny meme.
It's funny, but
why are they gonna use the butt fumble in the meme?
Nah. That was strategic. That was strategic.
Yeah.
But those Jets defenses were elite.
Oof.
Yes.
Elite.
Yes. I mean, Sanchez did what he had to do. He just managed the game. He didn't turn the ball over as much. Great running game. Amazing defense.
Yeah. I think the Jets had near two 1,000-yard rushes.
I'm not sure we've seen a defense that good since, honestly, that was that well-rounded and balanced.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we've seen one that good.
As far as pass rush, the coverage on the corners was just insane.
Golden era, boy.
I hated the uniforms. Hated the uniforms.
It was an amazing watch as a sports fan. Obviously, I was never necessarily a Jets fan, but to see them be able to actually do what you dream about when you play Madden, which is have a 99 overall corner on both sides. Right? They had Revis and Cromartie, who picked everything off one year. He had as many interceptions as kids, and he's got like 27 kids. Right? And then you can just load the box.
Yo, nobody is safe this Friday.
It was crazy, bro. It's Freestyle Friday.
Cromartie is a moving target, though. So, but that was an amazing team. And also Braylon Edwards and Santonio Holmes, once he actually played, like having those 2 stud wide receivers made all the difference for Mark Sanchez, who was very wet behind the ears, very green. But again, he limited the mistakes, and the Jets won. They won playoff games. Beat the Colts.
Say what you want about Rex, but he made it work with what he had.
He did. He really
Absolutely.
did. Early on. So I wanna get into, you about to say something, Greg?
Yeah. How can we skip on this though? How can we skip on this? We were just talking about Zeke, right? He was a top 5 pick. Christian McCaffrey was a top 10 pick.
Oh, all right. You doing this?
Saquon Barkley.
He trying to
was a top 3 pick.
He going down memory lane.
Are we past the time in the sport where it is not smart to waste a top 10 pick on a running back because their longevity is 2 to 3 years max at max potential?
So I think you want to go further, not just a top 10 pick. Is it a first round pick, right? Like I think the question is first round at this point. Because anywhere in the first round to take a running back, I think, is really a better question.
I don't know, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was taken at the end of the first round. He will not get the same flack if he doesn't perform as a Saquon, as a Zeke, as a C-Mac.
But see, I think it's less about the flack and more about the value. Why are you spending the first round pick on a running back you can get in the second, third, fourth round that can produce just as well as the first round pick? You might as well go to a position of need or a position that doesn't have as much depth or requires the talent is there, right? Because I'm not saying that the running backs aren't talented, but you just see that you can get more value deeper in the draft. Why spend the first round pick? So, I mean, just to rework the question, Paul, I ask you that, or we can send it to you. Do you think it's worth spending the first round pick on a running back?
I think the value we got to assess who's picking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zeke hasn't really truly missed time because of injury. While he is a little bit banged up, that's a part of the sport. Zeke, I think, is the only asterisk, right? Mm-hmm. Outside of that, I completely agree. You can't pick it. You can't make it. We should change this preference to a top 15 pick. What the Chiefs did was brilliant, right? You were talking about a team that Super Bowl, right? And the missing ingredient was a back that fit Andy Reid's system, which CEH coming out of college fit his system. And I still think he fits that system brilliantly, right? He has fumbling problems, but he's great for that system.
Yeah.
Zeke walked into the world's greatest situation. People forget DeMarco Murray led the league in rushing, right?
Yeah.
But he's older. He was at that 30 age. When if in Dallas, in their mindset, 30, you're out the door, right? So Zeke was perfect. It was a layup. They were only bad because of the Romo injury. That Cowboys team probably wins the division, and they would never sit at 4 or 5 when they took Zeke. But Saquon is a whole different dialogue, right? Because in that same draft, you seen Nick Chubb going round 2, right? We seen how bad Fournette was in Jacksonville, who was also a top 10 pick at the running back position. And then we see what James Robinson was able to do as his replacement. And I don't know when the hell. I don't know. I was gonna say I don't think he was drafted, right? We see Mark Ingram. He slipped in the draft. I think he went late first round. But then we see Alvin Kamara, who's like a round 3 guy, right? So when you start thinking about the true value and what you expect from an output perspective, Derrick Henry wasn't a first round pick, right? I mean, when you start thinking about what's the best in our game, there's no way in hell I could sit back a couple years removed and say C-Mac is injury prone. Like it's time that we attach injury prone to Christian McCaffrey.
That's sad.
Saquon Barkley was injury prone a year ago, like injury prone. And that's a disturbing trend if I'm a running back. Shout out to the Jonathan Taylors that live out there who are round 2 guys who easily could be round 1 guys. I guess Najee Harris is the last hope, right? To see. And I think his physical size and stature, I think he'll be okay, but I'm also concerned.
I don't know the position takes a bruising. You take a beating as a running back. I mean that's just what it is.
He's their best receiver too.
Yeah,
that's also problematic.
Got my Harris.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna do that because Deontay Johnson drops too many passes, right? So Najee Harris is the best receiver. Let's go a step further.
5 yards out.
Right. When you start thinking about other backs, like look at these top 10 backs that we see today. None of them are round 1 guys, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what your man, right? I sat on the show preseason. We talked about Henderson. Did he even get drafted?
I don't know. I don't know.
Cam Akers, right? Who's probably gonna come back and dead that spot come fantasy football championship. Get your odds ready. Cam Akers is returning, right? Like, look at these guys, man.
Antonio Gibson's another one. I know he's had the shin injury, but Gibby is a 3rd round pick, and
even Michael Carter from the Jets, and when he was starting to get it going, he's a 3rd round pick as well,
right? What's the kid that Austin
Kareem Hunt was a 3rd round pick.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, look at these guys, man. At this point, we need to stop looking at how did we have to get these guys? And that was the BCS gassing us up, right? You got to take Melvin Gordon round 1. For what? They replaced him with Eckler. Nothing. They're better. Right?
It was a seamless replacement too, man.
Yeah.
Like the days of LaDainian Tomlinson being worth a top 5 pick, I think the NFL's past that.
Well, also because LaDainian Tomlinson was like the last version of the bell cow, right? It's running back by committee. Even look at
except for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the exception.
He's the outlier. He's the exception to the rule. But yeah, so
Derrick Henry only works because of their inability to play quarterback. Like you got to understand the amount of chances Derrick Henry has gotten to be a really good running back with workload doesn't happen if he's in Foxborough. Doesn't happen if he was with a Herbert or a Burrow. Like it doesn't.
I don't know.
I think what you're saying here, Paul, is that with Derrick Henry, he wouldn't have the chance to show us that he could be this.
Y'all remember his
25 to 30? I do. And I mean, I remember his first few seasons. His first few seasons.
He wasn't even looked at to be a bell cow initially.
He was not, and that's what I get. I get what Paul is saying with that. I will say this just to push back on what you were saying about it should be the top 15 and not the first round. You can say that taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round worked for them because they had a need, but they also had a need of defense, right? Like they could have spent that first round pick on a defensive player that could have bolstered the defense.
A D back.
And I think it's exactly. So I think there's an argument there that maybe you shouldn't be going for a running back in the first round because you can get something in the second or third round and get back higher value, better value than, spending on the first and missing out on another player, a talented player that can help you further down. But I want to move on though, because we clearly could talk about this for a while. I'm going to get to some of these Sunday matchups, right? And I want to start with the Chargers and the Bengals. I want to start with this game because one, these are two teams second in their division. All right, they're one win away, either team, and a loss of the first place team. So the Ravens for the Bengals, and then the Chiefs for the Chargers. They could be tied for first place. What did you hear?
Oh no, I heard you skip, so I was just saying Chargers.
Oh, okay, got you. Copy. But yeah, so this is a game that I find very interesting, and just to coin a term that Travis loves to use, this is a tough one. All right. So I'm curious, Greg, what do you think of this matchup? Who are you taking here? And where do you think it kind of lies as far as advantages?
So we all on here know that I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. Okay. Huge Justin Herbert fan. Mm-hmm. But the Chargers' inability to stop the run is what's making me really cause for pause here, because if Joe Burrow plays like he did last week, and Joe Mixon who's having a rejuvenation of a season, if he
told y'all Joe was gonna be back, bro.
If he runs like that, it's gonna be very hard for the San Diego offense to stay on the field, and I can see something like that happening, and where we get a 27-21 type of game, but Cincinnati, time of possession. They dominate time of possession. So I'm going to go Cincy with this one.
Cincy.
I want to go Chargers. In my heart, I want to go Chargers. But I feel something is different. I don't fake.
Take for that. Stick to your guns, bro. Stick to your guns.
That's that Dynasty League talk. See, that's that Dynasty League talk right there. Listen, I'm picking Chargers today, but don't be shocked if live on my show you might get a different pick, right? Depending on the vibes. The biggest question mark I think is weather on Sunday. The Californian boy is going to have to travel. He's going to play in some colder weather in Ohio, potentially snow flurries. To me, that's a difference maker.
That's a good call.
To me, that's a difference maker. But maybe it's not. When you got a rocket like that, I don't think he's that affected, right? So I think we can overhype sunshine is what I like to call him. So give me the Chargers, man. I think he bounces back. Yeah, I think he bounces back, man. I mean, he looked real bad. He didn't really look that bad. He just made 3 really bad throws, right? Yeah. That they had to get back. And the problem in LA is the coach, man. Like we got to stop going forward on 4th and 5 from your own 30, right? Like they walked Denver into the end zone twice, and then they threw a pick 6, right? Like Teddy Bridgewater did nothing.
They've just been so bad on third down. That's the problem. They've been so bad on third down. They've been going for it on 4th. Yeah. Yep,
worst third down team
and they've converted. And then early in the season, they were pretty good at converting on fourth down, which, to his credit, like, yes, it worked out. But when it stops working for you, it just seems like bad decision after bad decision.
Dude, they have 2 seasons worth of 4th down attempts already, right? Like, I think they went for it 34 times in midfield. Like I get what they did against the Chiefs. They won the game, whatever. Yeah. They beat gutsy. I mean, we're talking the first quarter, they're going for it on their own 38-yard line. Kick the ball away, man. Like,
or more creative on 4th down. Just a better play than up the gut, maybe.
That too.
Paul, I'm gonna start with you on this next one. I got the Washington football team at the Raiders. All right, this is a Washington football team that has been on a roll. Going back to Gibby, they've been handing him the rock.
They're in the playoffs if it started today, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. I think he has 72 handoffs in the last 3 games, if I'm not mistaken.
It's about time.
About damn time. And
he got cut in leagues, bro. Like, people cut Antonio Gibson.
The foolish ones. Hold steadfast. That boy too talented. He has 4.3 speed, and he got hands. 7 receptions last game. The most he's been fed. And I don't know if McKissick is actually playing.
He's out. He's not. They just announced he's out.
Okay. They got better. I really need that. I got him in like 4 leagues, so we're about to go off. But I want to know who you got. Who do you have here in this matchup? Because this is a very hot football team right now. In the football team.
I know I told you I'm never picking the Raiders again. I swear. I didn't pick them on Thanksgiving, and they look good.
You think the wheels fall off?
Give me Washington in Vegas in the Dome. I don't care. I think what they were really bad at all season, they figured out, right? Remember, they couldn't stop a nosebleed throwing the football, and now suddenly DK Metcalf looked like he didn't belong in the NFL on Monday Night Football.
I went DK into Metcalf to get some therapy. He be wilding.
I went into a couple matchups playing against him and Lockett and couldn't believe that he didn't score 5 points. Like, I can't believe I got out of there with a victory. Just music to my ears.
Yeah.
But I mean, not that I want to use the Seahawks in any stretch of my imagination as a measuring stick, because they're a hot mess. But I'm going to go with Washington. I think they figured things out, and Heineke is back to playing that Q4 football. So Antonio Gibson, keep feeding that man, and hopefully Scary Terry, we can get some activity from, because he's been a bit quiet.
Terry. Yes. Greg, who you got?
So shout out to Manny Raiders, all right, for their big W.
Manny Raiders.
Manny's Raiders. I did not pick them on Thanksgiving, and thus they won. But if Manny thought I was coming here to apologize, I'm not. So the Raiders are going to lose, and here's why. There's no Darren Waller. Hunter Renfrow can't stretch the field. Zay Jones is too inconsistent. And Deshaun Jackson is good for maybe one 40-yard tutty. But after that,
he got a hamstring injury. He's not even 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, so and that means Zay Jones is their only deep there, because for whatever reason, Brian Edwards doesn't exist on this team. I guarantee he gets no burn,
bro.
I guarantee he gets
about to happen.
For our dynasty team, I hope this happens, but I have zero faith in this organization to do anything right by this.
Let it go. I'm done with the Brian Edwards experience.
Like, I need him on another organization.
He actually beat me a couple weeks ago on that Monday night game. By the way, he caught a post for a touchdown to beat me. I couldn't believe it.
Derek Carr threw it to him by mistake. I promise you it wasn't on purpose. But here's why I got the football team. Even on the road, it don't matter. What Washington has learned how to do is grind out these 12-plus play drives.
Disciplined football,
possession.
And they just kill the clock. Russell Wilson was on the sideline for what seemed like an entire half. I'm so happy I didn't start him.
No, not what was like an entire half. It was actually an entire half.
And by feeding Gibson, and what I noticed is they find themselves in third and short a lot.
Yeah.
So if they have to go for it on fourth down, it's really not that big of a deal. And what I'm usually not a big fan of when it happens on the Jets, like run the ball 3 straight times, 3 and out, and doing 3 straight
they're
possessions.
Successful at it.
Yeah,
they did that a couple times in the fourth quarter on Monday night, but it beat the Seahawks into the ground. So when they did it later in the game,
warm down. Yeah.
Exactly. So and it was like Riverboat Ron had no problem punting the ball in midfield, unlike what's the old boy in Sandy in LA.
The difference.
Yeah, and then the punter was pinned in Seattle back behind the 20. So they had so you know what? Give me the football team.
Who would have thought it?
I know, right?
We'd be talking football team.
Someone did have them making the postseason. All right. I had.
Oh, you did. That's right. That's
Dallas.
Legit.
I had Dallas.
Washington
Taking the division
as a
and
wild card.
Washington the wild card. All right. So look out. Gibby about to run loose. Next up, Eagles at Jets. Another tough one. It's an Eagles team that just got beat by the Giants. And we have a Jets team that has a win with Zach Wilson behind center. Surprisingly, at this point. He was behind center. There's no denying the fact that
I know he just wasn't good. He's so bad. Oh my god.
Both Mike White, Josh Johnson, and Flacco all managed to make Elijah Moore seem like a stud, because he is. And then Zach Wilson sets behind center, and
nothing.
Elijah Moore,
it's over.
Barely
it's
even
over.
a factor.
What did he get? 8 points? 9 points?
4 for 41 on like 7 targets or something dumb.
And I mean, moving on. I don't even want to focus on that. Paul, who do you have here? These are two teams that it could go either way. It is truly a tough one.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. I'm going with the Eagles. I think they bounce back. I think defensively they will stifle the Jets.
Zach about to see some ghosts. Greg?
I'm on the fence on this one. Right now, my mind is telling me pick the Jets because
your body's telling you yes.
Remember what that did to me last year, bro.
Bro, I picked the Jets last week.
You did. That's the fact.
So
don't do it twice.
I know,
this
right?
Ain't blackjack,
right?
baby.
I know.
This shit ain't blackjack.
But I do have faith in Jalen Hurts bouncing back. I am a Hurts guy.
Yeah.
I do like him, contrary to how he played last week. And I always say divisional games are funny. Divisional games can really go either way. But give me the Jets here. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Hopefully, we see more of one of the backups as opposed to Zach Wilson.
Paul, disrespectful. Honestly, if Michael Carter was here, I would have the Jets hands down. But I believe that Hurts is gonna kill him on the ground and kill him through the air. Like,
who's the new guy? Who's the new running back from the practice squad? I
don't even know, bro.
Oh man, he scored the touchdown, a rushing touchdown from the Jets. Man. I think that guy. Yeah, that guy, I know, right?
Hold on, you about to pick him in FanDuel? Is that what you about to say? You about to
no,
him run for 100 and 2 touchdowns?
No. Oh no! I do think he will be the guy who ends up getting the majority of carries because he ran the best against Houston. His name is Austin Walter. There we go.
Who? You know what? All right, bet. All right, so Greg got the Jets. We're just gonna move on. Another divisional game we got on Sunday: Ravens Steelers. Greg, I'm gonna start with you here. Who you got?
Give me the guy in purple and black, man. Let's go, Lamar Jackson all day.
That Steelers offense is so bad.
The Steelers are not a good football team. Period. The Najee Harrises are not good.
Yeah, short and sweet for me. I think the Ravens. I don't think the Steelers will even find a way to score. So give me the Ravens.
Like that. All right, 49ers Seahawks. Paul, who you got here?
Oh, this is gonna be a beatdown. 49ers by landslide.
I feel he's gonna do that. Now, you don't think that Russ has improved in every week and that he might?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
It is a disturbing stat that's out there. I think since the return of Russell Wilson, they've had the ball only a total of 19 minutes in 3 games.
Wow.
And they can't run the football, and they can't protect him throwing the football, and they can't stop the run. And we know all San Fran does is run the ball.
So on the Sunday show, you will be picking the Seahawks,
absolutely.
Right? Okay,
only
sure.
There's only 3 questionable picks you might get changes from. We covered one of them. You're probably gonna jump into the next 2 in a second.
All right, bet. Greg,
give me what game are we doing again? I was reading the comment section.
For 49ers. And
Niners. Yeah, I think Elijah Moore's gonna run all over.
I thought he was about to change that. He's
nah.
What you got in that cup? He is Henny Greg for now.
I think Elijah Moore has a big game, and I also need him to have a big game in Ray Jarvis's league because I got no Dalvin Cook and I got no DeAndre Swift. So this is killing me. I'm starting Jamar Jefferson in one spot, and I don't even remember the other running back.
I got Rex Burkhead in a couple leagues. That shit's a disaster.
Rex Burkhead and Jamar Jefferson, bro. I'm sorry, those are L's. I ain't gonna hold you unless somebody else pick it up for y'all. Those are L's.
So Keith Cadogan in the comments. I hate to tell you this, bro, but Debo is a no-go this Sunday.
Yep, no playing.
Debo is a no-go. He said
talking about Debo.
He said Debo. Keith. He said Debo finna eat 200 yards from scrimmage. I wish because I got him on my dynasty team. I needed him to eat, but. And I'm gonna need Debo to get that running back eligibility. I need that to happen.
I agree.
That would be phenomenal. All right. Next up, 49 Seahawks. Greg, I'm sorry. I looked at the same thing.
So what are you sipping?
Hey, I am sipping though. I am sipping, but that's not the reason. My eyes glanced over, did it again. Broncos Chiefs is where I'm going. Broncos Chiefs
division game.
Yeah.
I did say I picked Patty Mahomes as my number 2 quarterback. In my top 5 this week because I think the Chiefs are back.
And I heard Teddy Bridgewater was a honorable mention for you.
Yeah, you ain't hear that. You ain't hear that.
Who you got, Greg?
I got the Chiefs, bro. I got the Chiefs in a landslide. I think they're gonna
a landslide.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs. Wow. I got Chiefs blowing their doors off.
Wow.
I got the Chiefs. I think it'll be closer than the experts predict. I'll take the win. I won't take the points though. Give me the Chiefs.
I like it. I still got Chiefs too, but I do like what the Broncos might do. I think it's gonna be a close game.
Pat Surtain on Ty Hill is the matchup to see.
Ooh, Surtain, that boy nice.
I think Travis Kelce is gonna eat. I think he's gonna have a monster game.
You got Travis in the fantasy league? Is that why you're saying that?
In a couple.
I do.
In a couple.
I
in a
do.
couple. He's been very consistent throughout the year, but he hasn't had a monster Travis
Kelce like games.
We haven't seen the signature games. We just seen
maybe like
Eddie.
one or two, but yes, he has been steady.
Yeah, steady. That's gonna do it for our matchups. Paul,
wait, you're not because you guys are doing the Monday show.
Yeah.
Damn, I gotta make sure I'm in the comments. Let me make sure I'm in the comments for that.
You gotta be in the comments for that. Also, need to have Deck here for that. I would like to have Declan.
You know what? I might just need to make a guest appearance. Now that I got the login credentials, I might just log in. You know what I'm saying? With the Jinx God fitted, might have to put the little bills.
When you said there's two more matchups, I'm on the side looking like, what's match?
I wasn't even thinking about.
I'm like, he has to be talking about the Monday matchup. No, we ain't touching that yet. We ain't touching that bad boy till we on Monday.
Now, EP, before I sign out, I got to give you this bar. Yankee fans worldwide. I've been on the hot seat for saying what I said earlier this year, but I'm gonna stand on my square and tell you the truth. The Yankees will be the second worst team in the division, not just in this coming season, but the next 2 to 3 seasons. And here's why. The inability to secure real talent to play small ball while also pitch. I don't even know who the number 2 pitcher is for the Yankees. We know we got Garrett Cole, a non-big game winner. I don't know who's after that. Is it Luis? Tommy John Severino? Who knows? All I'm saying is I look around and I see the Tampa Bay Rays are loaded. I know that the Toronto Blue Jays are butting at the hills. I know the Boston Red Sox are loaded. I don't see how the Yankees even come out of this season at 500. They won't be at a magical August like we had in 2021. Let it go, Yankee fans. Pack it up. It's going to be a long trip. Aaron Judge is your best bet. And when I mean by best bet, I'm referring to trade bargain chips. Go get as much as you can. But it's going to be a long season. We still got Brett Gardner in left field. Let it go.
No, he's a free agent. He's a free agent.
For now. let it go, Yankee fans. To not get anybody, shout out to the Mets, man. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to sign out of here saying ownership, leadership matters, all right? Cohen told y'all from day one that he's going to start making changes. He went out there and started making changes. Cohen is committed to winning. He told you that on day one. All you got to do is love when somebody puts their money where their mouth is. Literally. Shout out to the Mets, B.
Damn, those are bars, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm over here like, yo, like this. If this was a cipher, I would have walked away already. Like, it's crazy.
Now, before my wife comes screaming down the hall, let me go get my son Cam. Thank you guys for having me. It's Appreciate always a pleasure, man. Bro. And I might see y'all on Monday.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Enjoy your weekend.
What a way to go into the baseball segment,
bro.
Boy.
All right, for all y'all that's still tuned in. I know y'all as flabbergasted as we are because that boy said a lot. He said under 500. He said second last in the division.
Not just this year, but years to come.
He said, hey, y'all got to trade Aaron Judge. I mean, we said that too, but like he was very emphatic when he said, you got to trade Aaron Judge, the only piece you have. You don't know who your number 2 starter is? He ain't wrong. He said Garrett Cole, the non-big game winning pitcher.
Yeah, that one. I was like, ooh.
Second
like
highest.
The Puss in Boots meme.
Yeah, yo. I mean,
where did we go from there?
We have to come down from there because that's up here. We're coming down from there because we're just going to talk about an update for the free agency, MLB Free Agency. So we do know that the lockout is happening, which is taking place. We will get into that, but we're going to start with free agency. What happened?
Hold on. I have to address the comment section because we have Yankee fans in their fields after Paul's.
I mean, how can they not be though? How can they not?
Anthony Diaz, you my guy. But this Max Scherzer going to be Bobby Jones. You could take that and put that all the way in the trash. Cut that out.
Where do you see that? Tell me the numbers. Show me where Max Scherzer is going to be bad this season. How, B? What we doing right now? Shut up. I don't know you personally, but like you need to take a seat. We're not going to do this. I know that he just tore y'all a new butthole. All right, and that it's okay. It's okay. It happens sometimes. I'm a Met fan. I'm used to that happening. As a Yankee fan, you're not used to getting that smoke. But you caught that smoke today, and y'all deserve it.
Facts.
But let's get into this free agency real quick. So when we had Colin on, we talked about Stroman and how he did feel jaded. He felt slighted by the fact that the Mets did not contact him before, get in touch with the likes of people like Steven Matz. Looking at, which I agree that to me was a little egregious, but he did sign with the Cubs and I forget
a boatload of money.
Yeah,
3 years,
averaging
73 mil.
Yeah,
averaging 23 or 24 mil.
And I mean, he's a Cubs fan. He's a Cubs fan. But he's never played in Chicago, apparently, in the Cubs Stadium before in Wrigley Field in his career. So he was very excited. His Twitter obviously is where you get all your information from for Stroman. I'm not saying I'm surprised because we did hear about it, but I was disappointed. Greg, how do you feel about the signing?
I'm okay with him leaving.
Yeah.
If Max Scherzer is the replacement, and we get someone else.
You think like Scherzer as the replacement? I don't think that Scherzer is really
no. I don't think. But what I'm saying is, he left. Thor left. We got Scherzer, and they're still in the market for another starter.
Yeah.
If that starter is comparable or better than Stroman, I won't be mad.
Okay.
What I will say about Stroman and how he felt about the Mets, I can understand, feeling a little slighted about the Mets and going after Mets first. But hey, instead of going to Twitter first, go talk to management and say, "Hey guys, I want to be here. What can we talk something?" Instead of saying, "Oh, they spoke to these guys first," because this is the business side of it. Now, the Mets have to explore all their options, see how can they better this team. This doesn't mean Stroman was bad, but if there's a better pitcher on the table, we as fans would be upset if they didn't explore it. So when they went and offered Kevin Gausman that contract and he turned it down, I'm not mad that he turned it down. I'm happy as hell they offered him because the Mets never used to do things like that. So if the targets were Gausman and Scherzer and Stroh on the back burner, I'm okay with that as a fan because those two guys are better. I mean, there can be some argument that Gausman, is a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But I shout out to Jason Hayward for getting his man's, that big contract. And Carl's gonna say, "Oh, I'm pocket watching," but to me, Marcus Stroman, I would put him in the $18 to $21 million range on an AAV, not necessarily 24, because Robbie Ray, who just won a Cy Young, got 23 a year.
That's more than Robbie Ray, I think, than like accepting that he could have got more. He just didn't.
He could have got more, which was also weird to me. He just seems like he's a low key guy.
Yeah.
But I will say I wish Stroman well. I'm sorry that he felt slighted and he wanted to be in New York, but we have to understand that as not only as just fans, but as players too, that there's still a business aspect to these sports, which is why I don't get upset when players exercise their options to go where they want.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think you can't be upset for what Stroman did. It's more so about the fact that he felt that he needed to go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
The Mets, I don't think the Mets are paying 23 mil a year for him, but it's not too far off where I believe he could fall as far as his value, especially the way he pitched last year. He was very consistent. He was healthy. And if the Mets actually have a decent offense, he kept enough runs off the board that they have more chances to win his games. So I do think that Stroman is a great asset to a team, and the Cubs are better off having him.
Hold on, real quick. Diaz asked, "What was the deal Betts wanted to give Baez?" I know we're short on time stuff, so I just want to touch on this real quick.
We mean Baez?
Yeah, or were you getting into that?
I'm about to get into it next.
Oh no,
yeah, Diaz, you pump the brakes. I got you, bro. Don't worry about this. I be doing this for a while now. Javi, as we all know, wanted him to sign as a Met, did not. He is now a Tiger, 6 years, 140 mil is what he signed for with the Tigers. And I know personally when he was traded to the Mets, when the Mets acquired him, it was all like this is it's not just gonna be for the playoff run. He's gonna be here to stay because he's with his boy Lindor, and it had to be that. But Greg, I know you have feelings on that, so I'll let you speak on it as far as why Javi did sign with the Tigers and the Mets and give him more years.
Okay, if you guys noticed that Javi signed a deal for 6+ years, right? That is a long-term contract. The Mets were offering, I believe, somewhere in the 3 to 4 year range, which makes sense because they have a top 3 prospect in the system named Ronnie Mauricio, who can play second base, who can play shortstop, and has the size to even move to a third base and the defensive metrics where he could translate there. And if you give Javi Baez a contract of 6+ years as New York Mets, you are essentially blocking that prospect from coming up and controlling him. So if you can't trade that prospect, you're locked into this long-term contract with Javi Baez, and they project Mauricio to be a more complete hitter and a more complete player than a Javi Baez. And I say project on purpose because we don't know what he's going to be. And this is one of the things that the Mets never used to do. The Mets would just make these deals without any future in mind. This was a calculated move to stand on their square and say, no, Javi, this is what we offered. I believe it was in the same dollar amount, 160, 170 range, but it was for less years. So for Javi, it wasn't about the money. It was about being tied up long-term with a team.
And it makes sense. I think that you're right that the Mets will usually make this type of decision. They're not thinking about the future. They end up getting into the situation where they have a log jam and they have to figure it out then. So I'm not upset about this. I think it's we did trade a top prospect outfield piece in was it Pedro Armstrong?
Yeah. I have my feelings on that.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to pan out, but to trade that for what could have been, a playoff push is what they wanted to do. Again, they didn't do enough during the trade deadline to truly address all their needs. I'm not necessarily mad at it, and we can move past it because I don't think it hurts the Mets that badly in the long run. I do want to move on because I did mention the MLB lockout. So as of 11:59 on Wednesday, the MLB collective bargaining agreement is no longer. With the owners of the MLB Players Association not be able to agree on terms for the new CBA, you have the players being locked out for the first time in 25 plus years, which we haven't seen a work stoppage of this in that time frame, and this is the 9th work stoppage, which it's a long off season. So there could be enough time to come to an agreement, but this is the owner's way of trying to force the hand of the Player Association, which might go into spring training because there's no real incentive for them to negotiate at this point. But I do want to highlight some of the hangups for the players, and it comes down to the economics, right? The players feel that the emergence of analytics has made it very difficult for the kind of second tier and third tier players to make money. They're not getting paid the same way, and because of that, after their 6 years, when they get to free agency, they're not making the money that they expect. They want to be able to make money while they're younger. So at this point, you're talking about most guys being either 30 or close to their 30s when they're going to get their payday, which only allows them one big payday instead of getting paid when they're younger and they're still in their prime.
Yeah.
You also have players that are upset with the Super 2 rule, which you will keep minor league players down longer so they don't have service time and the MLB service time, which is more difficult for players being held back by the organization solely not because they're not ready, but because the organization doesn't want to give them the service time, which means that they'll be eligible for free agency much sooner. And then there's the other part of it, which speaks to teams that tank and how there are teams that have a perpetual low payroll where they're just not deciding to a la the Pittsburgh Pirates, where they're not deciding to pay up to actually become good and compete. So this is what some of the sticking points for the Player Association and why they weren't able to agree on terms. Greg, I want to get your opinion on this. What do you make of where the players are stuck right now? And do you foresee that this goes into the MLB season and we're seeing, less than 162 games played?
First of all, shout out to the MLB players because they're the one set of players in professional sports that will walk off and just like, we're not going to give you a product because you can't treat us right and we're the ones putting the product on the field. So shout out to the MLB players for that. And I'm in lockstep with because what they're asking for is not a lot. It's not like they're telling the owners they got to shorten the season and cut down on their money in their home stadiums. We want you to treat us, give us proper, work benefits, essentially. Yeah. You have been mooching off of us for too long, especially that Super 2 rule.
Yeah.
You saw that with a lot of top prospects. We're going to hold them down so we could, hold on to. And what happens if that player gets hurt? They can't get that money in free agency anymore.
6 years is a long time to wait to
That's
get
what I'm saying.
First big contract. And I think honestly, when I was reading about this, I thought of why you have, your friend, the Francisco Lindors, the Fernando Tatises and Acuñas and now Wander, who are signing these big contracts so early instead of, waiting till later when they can get the more value.
And what the owners are doing and the GMs are taking advantage of these younger players. Ozzie Albies may have the worst contract in all of sports. Well, I think what was it, 10 years, 35 million or something like that. And Ozzie Albies is the MVP caliber infielder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to sign that contract so early tells you that these owners are not trying to give these players what they're worth. Wander Franco's not getting his worth. Fernando Tatis, as good as he is I don't care if he signed for 14 years, but what he's getting paid per his AAV is criminal.
Man, I don't know why. I just like, oh, Ozzie Albies contract, and they're giving me his former contract. I want the most recent one. Like, what are we doing? Is it 7 years, 35 mil?
Yeah, 7 years, not 10 years. Yes, that's still a terrible contract for the projection. It's an awful contract. Who is his agent? Fire his agent.
At such a long time to get, like, just for the amount of money, right? Like 35 mil. Like,
that's like the Scottie Pippen contract from however long ago in the early mid 90s. Yeah, it's a terrible contract.
It really is, and I think, like, I understand why some of these younger players are taking these big contracts now because of the current system, and hopefully the players are able to get what they want, because that shouldn't be the case. And we see this all the time in sports where owners will exploit the players. And from the outside, the fans are like, why are they complaining? But they want to make 100 million instead of 50 million. They're still millionaires, but it's not the point. The point is that these owners have the money, the pockets to pay them. They choose not to. These players are worth they're worth what, they deserve to be paid, and they're not being paid that correctly. I think anybody would have an issue if you're not being paid your worth. So just because the figures are very high, 100 million, 60 million, 50 million, 30 million, does not mean that that's their value.
Exactly.
And they are, again, being exploited. So I'm happy. Like you said, Greg, I agree. The players are good on them for, deciding not to agree to terms, waiting. I think, and the second part I asked you was about missing games. I will say I do believe it might go that far.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
I do.
I think spring training, at the best case scenario to me, there's going to be missing spring training games for sure. But I think worst case, we're going to end up going into the season.
I think we might end up, mid-May, the season time, start of the season, because the owners don't want to budge, because I feel like professional owners in sports, I have the money, so I make the decisions, not realizing that the players are the ones who allow you guys to make all of this money.
The money makers.
Yeah, obviously, I know a lot of these owners already had their own endeavors and are from old money, but the money they have made them, the players have made them, has made their wealth explode tenfold. So pay them their fair share. Treat them right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading the comments, seeing what they're talking about here.
Rob Manfred is a joke of a commissioner killing baseball. Real quick, before we get into the last thing, I just want to say, with the Baseball Hall of Fame voting this year, if the steroid guys don't get in, I'm going to be very upset, and I think every single writer should be barred from voting. Every writer that does not vote for Barry Bonds, they should lose their privilege of voting, because those are the same writers who voted to put Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that Bud Selig didn't know what was going on in his sport.
You ain't wrong. And that's not going to happen, but I like that you said it. Moving on to our last topic here. And it's so there's no CBA, but when there is one, hopefully ratified, we do have the new rollout for what will be the playoff expansion. So the MLB proposed 14 teams in the playoffs, 7 from each league. Best record in AL and NL get a bye. The remaining division winners pick their wild card opponent, and the higher seeded team will be able to host the all three wild card games. So you have this expanded playoff now, and I know there are a lot of people who have their opinions on it. I could go on either side. As far as pro yay or nay, but Greg, where do you fall on this new expansion?
So I'm kind of in between, because I think I see where they're going, but I don't necessarily like some of the components. So the first and second seed getting a bye, I think that's akin to football, NFL football, where you're incentivizing a team to have the best record in their division and in the league. I like that. So teams are not just settling for a wild card, right?
Yeah.
So I like the buy is huge. What I don't like is picking their wild card opponent. I get it. It has a fantasy aspect to that.
Yes.
And I don't, because some people they think they match up well, but I think that the wild card should go by seeding. But somebody in the chat made a good point that said if they're gonna expand it like this, they should shorten the season. The season is very long. With this lockout, I am wondering how it would play out with the shortened season and the expanded players. I do like the premise of it, though. I do like the premise because playoff baseball is elite. We know that, right? The ratings tell us that. The ratings tell us that, especially when it's against NBA regular season. I had to throw that in there. But I do like even with the wild card playing game, that's become huge, and baseball has a lot of traditionalist fans where they don't want to see a change and everything stays the same. But the truth of the matter is sometimes change is good, and I don't mind the expansion. What about you?
So the way you ended there to me is why I believe, because I agree with everything you said, with the exception of choosing the opponent. I think that element is entertaining and it will get the non-baseball fan to watch, because again, you say it's like fantasy, it's kind of video game-esque, right? Like it is something that the non-fan can get into, and the baseball fans themselves might complain, but when you're looking at that matchup, we're like, wow, like they chose who, like they're going against, like this is the matchup now because they chose this team, like huge advantage. And then when the upset potentially does happen, it makes it even bigger, right, of a game. So
could start rivalries too.
Exactly. If someone's choosing you, it's like, well, I'd rather go against this team because we clearly could beat them. And then you go and lose. It just creates, it's to me, it's this combustion that happens there that's going to like create rivalries, put a lot of narratives around it, because now you chose the team and they still beat you, right? Like in the case that does happen. So I think that all of these measures they want to implement can improve viewership, because we know that the playoffs are big for baseball. But you did have an important point there of shortening the season. I think that is something that is important. It is very long. You lose people throughout the season. There's so many games. It's like, when does it matter? Playoff time. And so people start watching close in September. So yeah, I agree. I like all of this. I think this helps to put the MLB to project the MLB in a place where they're actually getting more viewership.
Okay, real quick. So just to address the comments, the elder statesman Ricardo Etienne is coming in here with his usual typical baseball slander. I'm gonna need you to cease, sir.
You talking about
Cut it
football?
out. No. He's just talking. He's just slandering baseball. It's talking about he's not gonna watch. But yeah, that's okay. Even if you won't watch, we will make sure we talk about it just for you on the air. And Ziggy, shout out to Ziggy.
Just about to mention him.
Yeah, would love to hear some NBA talk. And I'm happy you said that. I just want to mention real quick, shout out to my Grizzlies, though. You see that W last night?
Bro.
Largest deficit
that was out of a video
in
game,
NBA history. Meanwhile, what happened in the Garden? What happened? Did the New Look Bulls beat the Knicks? And I mean, I used to see a lot of Knicks in first place talk when they were 4-1. I have since not seen those posts. What is happening in the Garden? I don't see the bing bong on street talk anymore. What's happening, y'all? Side talk. Yeah, talk to me. What's going on? Meanwhile, my Grizzlies out here smacking. I mean, even the OKC is like a G League team now, but I'm gonna take it though. I'm gonna take it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Zig. Zig, you brought it out of me. It wasn't directed at you per se, but since you want to say we don't talk about it, I had to be real extra this time. You still my man's though.
I was gonna say we got y'all next episode, but Greg wanted to go in. I mean, no. Good for your Grizzlies. Like 73, that's ridiculous. Honestly,
I don't even win like that with them on 2K.
The only way you win like that is if you decide to take it from CPU and put it on user, and you just have to control sitting there. Like you just scoring buckets. Like this.
I feel like that's something Garrison did when he was younger.
There's a real good chance that he did do that. That's how he used to move. But yeah, I just it's silly that actually happened. And your Grizzlies, even without Ja, without Ja, that is
the combo of Tyus Jones and DeAnthony Melton. Who thought that would be the combo in a backcourt?
So nobody.
That's a fact.
But yeah, there'll be more basketball to be had. And Zig, I'm sorry that you ended up having to catch some strays. Something else in the comments?
No. And also, that Warriors Suns game, that was elite basketball. I can't wait to see that again tonight. I believe it's tonight. So I'm definitely going to try to tune in for that. So NBA fans, y'all want us to talk about something? We'll see. You know what to do? Tell us in the comments what you would like us to talk about NBA wise, and we show the baseball team's versatility that some other teams in the Hitler Streets don't have.
Wow. You always like to start fights. I don't mind this one though. Before we wrap up, Greg, I want to give you the floor to speak on something real quick.
Thank you. So we've been having a lot of fun on this episode, as always. Love doing the show. But today, December 3rd, for those of you that do know, some of you may not know, it is the 5th anniversary of the loss of our daughter, Caden Desiree Christina Polius. We lost her 10 months old to a rare form of juvenile leukemia. It was really sad. We were on vacation, and like that, it just happened really fast. And I just want to say we love you, Caden. We will always remember you, and we will never forget you.
Great. She was a special little girl, and I had the pleasure of getting to spend time with her in those 10 months. So shout out to my niece Caden in heaven, giving us a little head nod.
Facts.
But yes, with that, I'll let you guys know. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all Hitless content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. Our handle is SportsHL. Again, that is SportsHL. Coming up, you're going to have the Sunday show, the NFL kickoff with Carl, our boy Paul, who was on here. You'll see him again, and Travis. Yeah, just Travis.
I needed that.
12 p.m. on Sunday. And then we'll be back again on Monday, and we will be talking about that Monday Night Football game, because that's going to be something to look at. So for all you fantasy folks out there, fantasy football, good luck to you. All right, week 13 matters. It is a clutch one. If you need it, I need the next 2 weeks to matter. So.
Don't start Austin Walter, though. I didn't say that. Steph said that.
You said it was 100 yards and 2 TDs. Were you about to get excited for him?
No. I just said I think he's going to be running the ball more. That's all.
We're going to see. All right. But either way, y'all take care. Have a good weekend. We'll see y'all on Monday.